Hey y'all, I shaved off all my hair a few days ago. I forgot to mention that. I guess I vlogged yesterday without the hair. I just kind of forget sometimes. So I was kind of surprised to see what I looked like. This is what it looked like though. Maybe we can make it a little more forgiving. There's a big old sign in front of me though. I'll show you. I'm assuming you saw that. I couldn't tell. Anyway, today's vlog, August 16th, Saturday, 2025. We just had a kind of a typical day, I guess, to some extent. We had breakfast at the park, and we're getting the more and more trust from the crows there. And this time they like, when we started coming up to the picnic table with our stuff, they just pretty much flocked, all just like descended, and before they were very reluctant, and they're getting closer to us. And the last time we had like this old kind of like naan bread, and we were dipping it in some coffee with cream in it to make it, because the bread was old. And then this time what we had was some leftover pork rinds and we dipped that in the coffee, and and they really seemed excited about that, and that was cool. And then at the end, one of them was like doing all this weird vocalizations, like it was like I'd never heard a crow do that. And Nikki looked it up and said it meant that they were happy with us or whatever. And so, not surprisingly, we threw them a ton of free food. So, but curious to we'll see how that unfolds. And we worked. Well, we went after that to a coffee shop called Turtle Rock Coffee. The coffee wasn't very good. I hate to give places bad reviews, but it just wasn't. But the place was cool, I guess. And we ended up getting a table in this little nook, and we worked on our writing. I worked on Fiverr, and she worked on Canva on stickers. And the Fiverr, I was just trying to finish setting up a gig on my seller profile to proofread articles or whatever, proofread whatever someone, and edit whatever someone wrote. And I did spend some more time looking at new example, like profiles of newer writers that were doing proofreading that had good reviews, and the competition is just hard. They all have expert, like specific knowledge or a lot of education, a lot of experience. Like one of them was like, I wrote articles for Cosmopolitan or whatever in a bunch of different magazines, and they're like a beginner rated Fiverr proofreader. And so I doubt I'll be able to get much traction there. But I got a profile up and a gig up, and I guess it's not officially approved yet, because like they're looking, I had to do like a W-9 and upload pictures of myself and my driver's license and stuff. And the prices were a bit all over the place on what people charge, That kind of surprised me how much that varied. And so I just kind of matched the lowest price person, which was somebody I can't compete with, but I wasn't going to go, like their basic package, or there's like 3 levels of what you'll do, and theirs was like 5 I can't remember, but it was like $5 and then $20 and then $50 or something. I just matched what they did because I don't know. I wouldn't be willing to do it for much less anyway, I don't think. Because at some point it's like, well, I guess I am just trying to, at some point, build a portfolio. So I did put a fairly high word count for what I would proofread and edit, just on hopes of maybe getting somebody. And you're supposed to put the number of revisions that you'll do to a job that you've done. Some people were saying unlimited revisions, which, I understand confidence in what you can do. It's like, I'll do it and you'll never need it revised again, so I'm confident saying unlimited, or I don't know. But most people would put a limit, and I went with a limit on that, because it's like, there's always someone out there that could just want to be a total pain. I've lived long enough to understand that and worked long enough, so I didn't go with the unlimited option. But we'll see what happens, and I gotta try to pursue some other stuff. One main thing I gotta do is fix my computer, replace my computer screen. Let's see if I can show it to you. It cracked. So that's because I had it folded up. It's a laptop in the back of this pocket of the seat, and I scoot the seat back because we have a mattress back here that comes right up to the seats. And so I scoot the seat back pretty good, and I knew my laptop was in there getting pressed against, it's a memory foam mattress, and I thought because it's so squishy that I assumed it wouldn't cause any kind of problem on the laptop, but it did. Doing that did crack the screen, and it is a pain reading web pages on this screen because of that. So I need to buy one. I saw them for like $60 online, and looked up a video how to replace it. Looked easy, I guess, so I might try to do that. And so yeah, that is something I need to do. And then I wanted to try to work on, I'm gonna have to pick up my blog again. If anybody's been reading that, I'm sorry that I haven't updated it. But I'm gonna try to get back on that regularly. And then anyway, after that we DoorDashed, and we made good money. We're making better money per hour here than almost anywhere else. Probably comparable to Venice, Florida, maybe a little better. It's kind of surprising because the research I looked at before we came here said it was on average $14 an hour DoorDashing, which I was concerned about because that's like some of the lowest paid DoorDashing that we've done. But it's actually turned out to be the best. It's short mileage. So you don't spend much gas or time. Everything's close. So we did pretty good. And so tomorrow we'll be hitting it again because we're moving back to Liberty, Missouri into an apartment. We got to have a bunch of money to hand to them. So we're eating cheap, and like we had beans and rice for dinner, and which is good, but it is very cheap. And we discovered an interesting meal. We just kind of, came up with it as we were walking around the store, I guess. We had it was tortillas, avocado, and I almost said chicharrones, but pork rinds. I guess that's Mexican or Spanish. Sorry, oh my God, for chicharrone, for pork rinds. So, that turns out to be a complete protein if you combine the pork rinds with the avocado, or with the avocado. So that was kind of fun, and it's no cook, because occasionally you just get tired or it's really inconvenient to go cook outside, at a park in the dark, or maybe electricity's an issue. Like we were cooking at one shelter, we've been cooking breakfast there, and we were heating up using the electric kettle and the electric skillet at the same time, and it apparently tripped a circuit. So it has not been working, and we've been cooking plugged into our EcoFlow power converter, and that has run out of power. So it's like, it's another thing we have to do is charge our EcoFlow up if we're going to use that more. And we already use that to like charge our fan battery and things like that. So it's nice to have like a no cook option for when it's just not convenient. Or like, we were really tired at the end of tonight's dash, and we were like, oh, but we had just done the chicharrones and avocado, so we just went ahead and cooked. But it was kind of like, we were just kind of dragging, but we had not eaten enough, so we needed that. And what else? Oh, I guess I had some notes here. I was listening to some podcasts, and one of them was a Christian podcast that I won't name, and they were talking to a guy, and about his conversion or whatever, or to Christianity and stuff. And I guess the topic I kind of extracted from it so far was, I don't know, in the old church I used to go to, they had this term called bragamonies instead of testimonies. Like, a testimony was when you got up and shared your story about how you came to Christ. And a bragamony was when you kind of made it mostly about how much of a badass you were before Jesus saved you. And really what it was you just trying to make sure everyone knew how much of a badass you were. And there was a little bit of that in this. The guy was like a football player and popular and all this stuff, and it's like, that's fine, and I know that's a real experience, but it's like, every time, everyone that has a testimony, it's like, where are all of the real life people, like most of us, that didn't have great success in most of our endeavors? Where's the below average or the average people? That's something I'm thinking about writing on. I did a little research on it, because the Bible has people like that. And I don't know. I think that's part of what I want to do, is try to encourage people to be transparent and honest about that kind of stuff, like failures and shortcomings, because I think that's sorely lacking on the internet, especially on social media. Is people are just show. It's kind of like a never-ending Christmas newsletter, like about all the great things that someone in their family did, but it's like, what about when you blew it or dropped the ball and or didn't cut the mustard or whatever? So that's where I'm coming from. I'm kind of like, just do it. Anyway, even if you're not great at something, if you love it and it gives you a sense of meaning, just pursue it. And my thought is, eventually you'll attain enough knowledge and ability at it that you'll probably be able to do it, maybe in a way that you even make money. So not that you will necessarily do that, but it's like, I think it's important that everybody has something they pursue that's meaningful, aside from making a living. And if it's the same thing, that's great. But I think we're meant to have a meaningful adventure. I think that's what our life is supposed to be, is some kind of pursuit of something that is important and meaningful to us, and maybe even high stakes to some extent, that we can pour ourselves into, and these targets we can move towards that give us a purpose and and motivation every day. So that's kind of what I want to do with my social media and stuff, is just encourage people. Yes, relay any specialized experience or knowledge I might have managed to have at this point in my life, but also just encourage, and not just be another, hey, I'm awesome, or look at me, or something. And I know we do share a lot of our not awesome photos and videos of things we see, but that's more, I guess I don't say this much, but kind of what I'm doing there is like, I'm showing you, I'm a nobody, and we're poor, and we have this old beater that we drive in, and we're just hustling on DoorDash to make a living. And we're able to see these things because we go to the lengths to find these places where they're free, like those recent pictures and videos of the mountains. It's all free. It just takes effort. We paid not a dime, other than a half-hour drive worth of gas from this town. So it's just, that's mainly what, that you can have adventures and do things, and so you don't have to be like special, or way. In fact, just don't compare yourself to people, other than to maybe be inspired. Maybe if you want to look at there's something you want to do, and you look at someone that's great doing it, you can try to emulate them, or maybe they can teach you something for someone at your level. But beyond that, I say don't compare, because you'll just probably start becoming discouraged and think, well, I can never do that. And it's like, or I have no business doing that. And it's like, well, that's not necessarily true just because you're not the best at it, Now, there's certain things you shouldn't do if it's not safe or something, like driving an 18-wheeler. If you can't handle it, don't do it. But, that's kind of what I'm wanting to do with the channel. So anyway, I guess I try to keep these around 15 minutes. I'm at 17 and a half. So I don't know, maybe I could go longer. In the past, I'd had problems uploading for some reason when it went over 15 minutes. Like, I don't know what that was about. So, but anyway, I guess that's that's it for now. I'm gonna try to get back to my regular blogging, and I might be starting to write some articles and stuff or something. We'll see, and maybe putting those somewhere like Medium. I have a lot of partial work towards that, and music. Gonna be doing music. I've done some lessons. I did a beginner lesson and a intermediate lesson, so I want to keep doing that, and practicing more, and performing more and that, and doing more outdoor adventures. That's a big one. We work a lot at the university library, and I noticed on the book there's this on the bookshelf there's this book that said the Upper Yukon Wilderness, and sorry if I've already said this, I can't remember, but it was just a guy's journal of how he went and explored all this area up there, and was hunting mountain sheep and or mountain goats or bighorn sheep, I think. And it was like that guy was like, that's what I want to do. That kind of stuff. But he was out there for the duration, in the woods. They had horses with all this supplies on them, and they hunted for their meat a lot and stuff. So pretty inspiring stuff. I'd like to do more of that. Like we're talking about, me and Nikki, like hiking, backpacking, and that would be a ways down the road now, but that's something we hope to do. Like it's different trails. Like one of them is the Oregon Coast Trail, and it just follows the coast of Oregon on the Pacific. That would be a really cool one. But anyway, so a lot of stuff in the works. But anyway, it's 20 minutes now, so I better wrap it up, and I'll let you go, and I'll be back tomorrow. All right, thanks for watching.